Focus in on Vedanta as now there has been a refusal to reopen their copper smelting plant at Thoothukudi. We've got Mubina Kapasi standing by to give us a sense as to what this means. Mubina, dating back to 2018 when the company was asked to shut it down. What are the implications of this latest order?
Avan, this particular plant, the Thoothukudi plant, the reason why it's so important is because firstly, it's the largest copper producing plant for India. Almost half of India's copper used to come from this plant, 400,000 tons. And yes, like you rightly mentioned, May 2018 is when the order was pronounced for its shutdown by the state government. Mind you, it was definitely something that was marred with a lot of violence, which resulted in 13 people as well losing their lives, and subsequently the state government sort of put the shutter down on the Thoothukudi plant. Obviously the protests were on account of the environmental hazards that the plant's operations were sort of creating for the area, for the residents of Thoothukudi. Now subsequently the Tamil Nadu State Pollution Control Board as well had rejected its application for consent to operate. The NGT though had come in favor, but then again the Supreme Court cut down that ruling, saying that listen, this is not in your jurisdiction, and that's the reason why Vedanta went to the Madras High Court. Now remember, the bench not only did hear pleas of Vedanta obviously, but also of a lot of the residents, and this includes even MDMK Chief Vaiko, who was against the plant. The High Court had reserved the judgment earlier this year, and now they have come to the conclusion that the plant will have to remain shut. They have refused to allow the reopening of the Sterlite copper smelting plant in Thoothukudi. Like I said, remember, this is a 400,000 ton plant. This was one of the largest copper producers in India. In fact, in 2018, when the plant had shut down, we did see a surge in copper imports as well, for obvious reasons, because this means that India now needs to buy its copper from abroad, and that's exactly what happened post, the copper plant essentially shutting down. Of course, now that the Madras High Court has not allowed its reopening, the next step for Vedanta, I guess the last step would be for it to approach the Supreme Court, for this plan. An important one, like I mentioned, for India's copper business. It's one of the largest copper smelting units, and it has remained shut for some time. We had, in fact, seen a bit of a surge as well, in copper prices because of this, in Indian TCRC prices more specifically. Now, there are only two big, copper producers in India. One is Hindalco, and the other one is Hindustan Copper. Hindalco being the bigger one, Hindustan Copper being the slightly smaller one. And yes, not to mention, of course, the financial implications for Vedanta as well. Any which ways, it has been living without this copper revenue for the last 2 financial years, and I think it will continue, I suppose, for a couple of more months until there is some conclusion. Back to you.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Mubina, thanks as always for that update. In fact, let's take it across to Shabir Ahmed as well from Times Now and get in a detailed count on what the Madras High Court order is all about. Shabir?
Well, the Madras High Court has refused to allow the reopening of Sterlite copper smelting plant in Thoothukudi. Remember, this plant was shut on 28th of May 2018, 2 years ago, when there was a massive protest against this plant by the locals in Thoothukudi, and they marched towards the collector's office, and in that, the violence broke out as people gathered in large numbers, and at least 14 people were killed in the police firing, and the issue became political and it gained national prominence after 14 people died in that firing, and the people were extremely agitated, and multiple petitions were filed both in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had asked Vedanta to approach the Madras High Court, and at least 10 petitions were filed by Vedanta challenging the several orders that were issued by the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, Tamil Nadu government, and now the Madras High Court has refused to allow Vedanta's copper, Sterlite copper smelting plant to reoperate, to reopen. and in a clear move, the Tamil Nadu government expected that there will be some kind of trouble in Thoothukudi, so they deployed security in and around the copper smelting plant ahead of the verdict. At least 1,200 police personnel were deployed, and people also gathered at several places despite lockdown, despite Section 144 in place. There were activists and people who gathered, picked up an argument with the police there because the police refused to allow them to gather there. So clearly, now this verdict has come as a huge relief for both the Tamil Nadu government and the people of Thoothukudi. Remember, in less than 8 months, Tamil Nadu is going to face elections. So this verdict was crucial as far as Thoothukudi is concerned. And now the Madras High Court has refused to allow the reopening of Sterlite copper smelting plant.